Hello and welcome to today's Lemongrass Live. My name is Jo Derry-Bennett from the Lemongrass marketing team, and I'd also like to welcome our discussion leaders today. From Lemongrass we have Mike Larnan and Mark Walker, and from AWS a very warm welcome to Micah Smith. Thanks. Just before we start, I'd just like to do a little bit of housekeeping. So this session is being recorded. We'll share the link with you tomorrow via a follow-up email, and also this is a complete live session, so we welcome all questions and answers. If you'd like to pose a question, you'll see on your control panel there's a questions section. Please just type in and we'll try and fit in as many as we can in the next 30 minutes. So with that, I'll hand over to Mike. Thanks.
Thank you, Jo, for the introduction, and welcome everybody. Thank you for your time spending this half an hour with this Lemongrass Live event. So today's question we try to answer is there a perfect time to migrate your SAP estates onto AWS? So I think it's a very relevant and interesting topic to discuss with and we've got a nice panel today as well. So let's do some introductions first, and then we can start our discussion. So let's start with you, Micah.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Hi, everyone. I'm Micah Smith, and I'm focused on supporting customers migrating applications like SAP to AWS as part of our migrations and modernization team here. I'm based in Melbourne. I've been at AWS for about 8 or 10 months and worked in the partner ecosystem for the last 10 years before that as well, really focused on moving applications and infrastructure to public cloud and helping customers innovate and accelerate their business around cloud services as well. Thanks.
You want to go next, Mark?
For sure. Hi, hello everybody. My name is Mark Walker. I'm the SVP of Project Delivery for the Asia Pacific region and Japan. So I've been working in SAP for over 20 years now, migrating to the latest and greatest versions of which now is the cloud. So very happy to be supporting our customers in that move.
Thanks, Mark. And for the people who don't know me, I'm Mike Larnan. I'm an SAP solution architect at Lemongrass. Been at Lemongrass now for the past 18 months. Yeah, so good. So yeah, why not? Let's jump in the hot topic and address the elephant in the room, right? So from an AWS, yeah. From an AWS point of view, let's take that angle first. Is there a perfect time to migrate your SAP systems to the cloud, Micah?
Oh yeah, thanks, Mike. Look, it's a complex path to plan either an SAP upgrade or if you're bringing your existing environments to AWS as part of your larger business goals. We really think the perfect time, certainly to start planning for it, is now. We've had over 5,000 customers bring all or part of their SAP environments to AWS. And it's giving AWS and Lemongrass a really deep pool of reliable experience to bring to the next 5,000 customers, which we think is pretty key. And that experience is really the form of partner strength in Lemongrass, repeatable technology patterns we've got in AWS. We've got infrastructure that's been really proven and optimized for SAP workloads, and we have the first certified cloud instances. And we've got a really deep application ecosystem as well through AWS Marketplace for supporting that SAP journey. A key driver also helping you to make a decision to start thinking about it and executing your migration now can be that cost of operations. Moving to AWS, we obviously can expose a lot more levers to pull for our customers. So your operational run costs, we commonly see savings of 30% plus. It might be realized by moving to x86 from P-Series or other more expensive database platforms. You might be able to move your test, dev, training platforms to just running only when needed, and setting up automation around those to be built through automation, and even just right-sizing your environments and taking advantage of high-performance CPU instances as well aligned to your workloads can save a lot of operational costs. What else is driving it as well? I think other elements is that moving your data and moving your business data in SAP might be closer to a larger business data lake as well. So we find most organizations are building out their data strategy now if they haven't already executed on a data play. And getting all of your business applications interfacing into a data lake construct or a lakehouse construct and starting to apply AI or machine learning across those data sets can really give a really strong feedback loop into your business. You might also have other applications like IoT sensor businesses that you can take all that data and really get it into a feedback loop to expand and integrate into your operations in your framework. Risk and security can also be a big part of what might drive you to move into cloud. We can meet your ever-increasing needs for security and compliance that you might be getting through regulators or might be getting through your internal business risk management process. AWS can bring encryption anywhere, wherever you need it, visibility and control of your SAP instances as well, and give you those really strong, consistent guardrails. So yeah, I think more elements driving you to move now and plan now is we've got end of support life cycles. We've got customers that are looking at their end of hardware life as well. So you might be wanting to move your existing ECC environment into AWS adjacent to an upgrade strategy to your SAP Next environment, whether it's S/4HANA that you're building in there. And it really retires that technical debt as well from your infrastructure on premises and reduces that need to refresh as well. And I think I always look back and go, we've had a pandemic as well over the last 12 months. It's forced a lot of businesses to really look away from typical IT refreshes and really focus on other more important parts of their business and people. But I always look back and think that the clock hasn't really stopped on hardware and support aging, and the need to accelerate many businesses in 2022 is really going to be key to lift off as the global economy gets back as well. So really thinking about aging infrastructure, rebooting your business performance, and getting back onto your business's innovation agenda, and reducing costs as well. Drive the best time now to kind of plan and execute your migration to AWS. It was a long set of words, but yeah, I think, Mark, what's your thoughts about it? How does Lemongrass see the best time to move to cloud?
Yeah, look, thanks, Mike. Look, moving to a cloud-based model, it does enable the best of what an SAP investment has to offer, which can be substantial. But the decision to actually eliminate traditional hardware, moving from a data center or from on-premise systems and embarking on that migration project to the cloud can be very daunting. So Lemongrass and AWS are partners who can provide really good guidance and transparency in reviewing the scope and the approach of migrating and then running your systems in the AWS cloud. And it's important to note that those conversations can be without cost and obligation. Micah has mentioned that the best time is now. So how can we actually begin and start realizing that potential within your business to embark upon a cloud journey? Choosing your platform and your partner and engaging with them early is very important. We as partners have the experience to provide you with extensive assessments right now of your landscape on how you can approach a robust and risk-conscious migration. We can address your concerns around undertaking that migration project, as any in IT project, as we know, is inherently difficult. So why would this one be any different? And as a partner, we can allay those concerns and we can give you that approach, and we can give you the correct capability from a cloud perspective. So we'll work with you very closely on that. For example, let's align on your roadmap. Let's have a look at that for the next 12 and 24 months. What are those critical projects and other activities that are already planned for the business that we need to look at? What are the blackout dates that we need to take into consideration from all parts of the business, not just from IT? Those are those no-go periods that are to be avoided, or actually, are they negotiable if we look at them closely? And what will your partners do to actually accommodate these periods and yet still progress a successful migration for you to the cloud? For example, do they have a proven project methodology? What automation is available for a high quality and low risk outcome of that journey? And is there flexibility in the approach? Is the planning modular in nature that enables you as a business to continue to support the business while you're on that cloud journey? It's very important to take that into consideration. Other questions such as what's your maximum downtime window that has to be considered as part of a production cutover to the cloud? And when looking at a probable date, what is the one that presents minimal impact to the business? And then let's work together, and let's work together now and begin scenario planning backward from that point. and ask ourselves a few key questions. Why wouldn't we start now based upon what we know? What are those key hurdles that we must pre-plan to mobilize a migration? For example, breaking down scope complexity is quite important when we talk about approach. What is the availability and the capability of your own internal teams to support a migration, and what resources therefore are at our disposal, and what are those that we actually need to bring in using our partners to do that? Additionally, what are the aspirations of the migration that the cloud project can be a catalyst for? And I think what's important to consider there is that we need to take the mantra that migrate to the cloud as a priority and then do the modernization once you're on the cloud. So get the benefits of being on cloud first. It's also worth noting that when we pull these approaches together, that the nature of cloud consumption models is such that we can slow down projects, we can speed them up, we can modularize them as required, because we're no longer reliant on things like hardware constraints of traditional on-premise models. So we can take these new thinkings into account within these approaches. So now as partners, we're starting to understand your business and the requirements and the technical scope. We can then start looking at an approach that provides that realistic path to a successful outcome. And once those fundamentals are in place, that approach can be crystallized, as you would expect from any specialist for SAP on AWS. And an assessment, and that assessment and its approach are presented, and we debate them with you in a very transparent manner and refine them in a way that is clear to every single stakeholder within your organization that needs to understand it, not just your technical people as well. And that's a very important part of bringing everybody on that journey. Now, it's important to understand that once we carry out the assessment, that will give us a lot of information, but then we can further validate that assessment through a proof of concept, or perhaps actually a pre-migration trial before the core project begins. And we can agree a set of success criteria that supports a business case, and then you can get the momentum for that project. So all this information we gather, and our team then identify those constraints. We confirm the impacts of what we think there would be on an approach, and any potential risks that are still there to be mitigated. We capture all those in an approach that is then delivered by an established and a repeatable method. It's modular in nature, but importantly, it's underpinned by a few very important points. It has appropriate agreed patterns to actually deliver it for each SAP component of your estate. It has proven tools that we use in the cloud that are also automated, that provide consistency and high quality. And also, we have specialist experience as well that enable us to have a very unified, very transparent and great engagement across your own teams and those of your partners. And we package all of that up into a very strong governance model, which then culminates in a successful project for a very detailed final cutover that sometimes you may feel that isn't perfect, but because of the way that we've gone about it, it's certainly the right time and it will be successful for you. So that's how I see it from my perspective. Mike, what about you from a technology perspective?
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Mark. But what a great content so far. I hope everybody in this session is getting some value out of this. I also feel like we're in the Triple M radio station, right, with the Mike and Mark and Mike. But yeah, so
I'll start playing some tunes for soon, Mike.
Yeah, cool. So before answering your question, Mark, let's refine the words from a technology perspective. So I'm not talking about moving workloads to SaaS kind of solutions. I'm referring to on projects, moving your SAP on-premise workloads onto AWS or start a SAP Greenfield solution on AWS, such as S/4HANA. So now I've got it out of the way. What do I see as the right moment for you guys to move into the cloud? There will always be reasons not to do, right? So we've got in-flight projects, we don't have the budget in this financial year, we don't see the added value of running workloads on AWS, it's so expensive. or we just love our tin, right? We just are tin huggers in our little data center. But yeah. So on the in-flight project, right? I think Mark did a really good job addressing that topic and how we can mitigate those risks and have a methodology and approach to move your workloads to AWS. Not having the budget, that's in my opinion. So it's often a lack of vision of not seeing the added value of running workloads on AWS. So Mike also touched base that AWS, it's not only EC2 and EBS, they have over 200 services at the moment, and a lot of them can be used in combination of SAP workloads. So the next couple of minutes, I give you some examples how I see added value of using those services, looking also at the well-architected framework, why running SAP workloads on AWS is the right choice and why it just needs to happen now. All right, first one I want to touch base is the pillar reliability. Sorry, I'm struggling with that word. It's my Dutch accent. Sorry, but you get the point, right? So this is about HAMDR.
We do, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So setting up HAMDR is often expensive and rather complex. If you architect it on-premise, it's usually one size fits all, not a lot of variations. So yeah, expensive and complex. That was my experience when I was doing a lot of on-premise architecture back in the 80s and a bit later as well. But think about how you can simplify those HADR patterns using AWS availability zones and regions. You can basically architect HADR requirements per application and fits your business requirements. So the question I'm gonna leave you guys with to answer, you don't have to reply now, but are all your SAP production systems treated the same way in your current on-premise architecture? Just think about that question, and think about how you can do it differently when running on AWS. So another pillar is performance efficiency. That's easier for me to pronounce. So one of the oldest services available on AWS is the S3, also called S3 buckets. Most people are familiar with that terminology, but imagine you have like a 20, 30 terabyte database running, and you migrate it over to AWS. So you need a very large EC2 instance to run it, but imagine you just offload that data, you do a lot of aggressive archiving, push that data into an S3 bucket, reduce your database size from 30, 40 terabytes to 15. Imagine what that can do for performance-wise as well. So you can right-size the EC2 instances, the S3 bucket, that's just a fraction of the cost. Yeah, it's just a no-brainer to me. So again, a question to you guys. How do you currently manage your workloads, and how do you deal with your growth of your databases on-premise? Right, so we're good for time. Yeah, that's so good. So next one, operational excellence. So I think both Mike and Mark mentioned about piloting things, trying things out. And what's a better platform to do those things on AWS? So the speed and the cost possible on AWS is just incomparable versus traditional hosting solutions. So it's so easy to create a fenced, secure VPC environment, and using cloud formations, or nowadays Terraform is also highly supported on AWS, and they've got launch wizards. We as a partner, we've got our tool set as well, so we can spin up a new SAP environment in a couple of hours. And then the sky is the limit, right? So if you can do that quickly, you can develop a new HADR pattern to try out, does this fit my new business requirement? Because my business changed, I have other requirements, I want to try things out. Yeah, you can do that so quickly and so easy, but also from an operates perspective, right? So patching is still required, OS patching, SAP patching, those activities, they can be done so rapidly, and by having that piloting or proof of concept capabilities, and by the speed of it, that is just a game changer. And one of the other things I want to highlight is when you activate or install an SAP add-on or activate a business function, in most cases, it's non-reversible. So yeah, again, so spin up a copy of your production system, activate the add-on, demonstrate to your business, is this what you're after? And the business, yes, this is what we want. Cool. And then you have your business case ready. You can terminate all those used instances, save all the cost. So no capital spent, no upfront costs, and also not having to deal with outdated hardware. So you can always use the latest hardware on AWS. Again, what if you want to do this in your current data center or with your current service provider? How does this process look like nowadays? Just think about that question. And lastly, I want to highlight cost optimization, because cost optimization is also important. And a lot of stories around running SAP workloads on AWS. Yeah, it's so expensive, but yeah, if you do a like-for-like lift per shift, I've got 20 CPU and 68 gig of memory now on premise, and I'm only utilizing 14%, but still I have it. So I won't have the same on AWS. Yes, then you will pay a premium, right? But that's not the concept of running workloads on AWS. You should pay what you use and try to match the EC2 instance according to your workload, but also through automation. If you have peak workloads, predictable workloads, you can anticipate it. And that way you can do a lot of cost savings. And most of all, another point we see with AWS, so since, I don't know, 2006 or something, they've got massive cost reductions on their services. I think almost 70 times they have did cost reductions.
It's 106. It's 106 now, I think.
Wow, 106 already. Wow. Yeah.
These are the information I have to keep in my head. Yeah.
Yes. So again, the final question. So when was the last time you received money back in your pocket from your current infrastructure provider? So yes, to me, the time is now. What is holding you guys back? That's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks,
maybe I can step in with a few questions, because you've generated quite a lot of points there. So let's see how many we can fit in the next 5 minutes or so. Let's go for the first one. I think you've covered this already, but maybe some summary points. We're in the midst of a major IT project. How can we mitigate business risks that a migration to AWS will be successful? Who wants to take that one?
Probably me, I should think. Get my earphone back in, keeps falling out. Yeah, thanks, Joe. So, look, I think it does come back to a few of the points that I went through before. Mitigating risk is very important, obviously, for business continuity. And I think, first off, do use a specialist. Do use somebody that does this as part of their service offering. Having people with the experience and the specialism of taking you to the cloud is all important. So where have they done this before? A robust and mature methodology of how you get there is really important. So again, you know, it needs structure to mitigate that risk. So method is everything as well. And also for consistency and a very high quality migration to the cloud, you need to use the right tooling. You need to use the automation to give you that consistency and reduce chance of error, and also within that use patterns as well. So automation is a very important part of the overall requirement. So I think those three main things are key in my opinion.
Yeah, that's right.
Brilliant, thanks for that one. Next one. We talked a lot about tools, but how can we benefit from standard AWS services after the migrations to AWS? I guess, Micah, that sounds like a one for you.
Yeah, sure. I think, I mean, there's a huge amount of core services built into our platform to support any business's transition from traditional infrastructure-focused operations or ClickOps to building a DevOps culture of application iteration. and really focused in on automation inside running your cloud environment, and switching from being a really infrastructure heavy focused business cost to a supporting group that can really help your business meet their goals as well. I think in using cloud as an enabler to make that happen. Some great examples we've seen specifically around the SAP space is our CloudWatch and CloudTrail monitoring and automation tools. So really keeping strong track of what's happening inside your SAP environment, giving you that ability to manage performance. You can scale compute up and down and memory in peak time. So really having really strong control over cost containment and supporting your businesses in their peaks and troughs as well. We've seen customers using serverless services like our Lambda and microservice management tools like SQS and queuing as well. So taking triggers out of your business in business tools environments like your SAP landscapes and feeding other business processes really quickly and easily. So building a really strong network of technology linkages between your environment and keeping it all within our native cloud services as well. Even just promoting test environments and building automated pipelines as well. We found customers being able to automate those, carry changes through from development to production, and it's really transparent and pretty low touch. So a huge swathe of tools inside there in our native platform that you can take advantage of. Thanks, Joe.
I've got another one maybe related to the first question. So what happens if we've got an in-flight project already? Mark, I think it is possibly best that for you.
If you've got an in-flight project already, look, we'll accommodate that in our approach. So again, when we do the assessments, as we bring in all of this information, that the understanding of that in-flight project will be understood. We'll understand the key deliverables within that project, and we'll incorporate it within our overall approach. So the two aren't overlapping, so we're not taking resources at a time that you need them for that project. So again, it's understanding what's already out there. Do we have all the information ready that we can then bring in and put into that approach that we can then present back to you? So it's just that collaboration and working closely, and we can do that. As I said, we can speed up or slow down the project to ensure that that there's no impact on anything else running in parallel.
Yeah, and on top of that, I think most customers they have in-flight projects, right? Because they grow their business, and there's the strong trend of DevOps and agile working. So there always be projects where we have to consider when migrating to cloud.
Yeah. I think that's true. Nothing stands still anymore. Nothing stands still.
Nothing stands still. No.
365. 365. But I think we've got time for one last question. It's going to be a good one. Moving to public cloud is a no-brainer for most SAP companies. I think that's clear. But based on your experience, what are some of the clear, tangible benefits of AWS over a rival, beginning with A as well? I'll say it out loud as you. Who wants to take that one?
Look, I'm happy to talk a little bit about it. I've probably got 100 points, but I'll try and keep it to 10. Look, we always say, look, there's no compression algorithm for experience, and when you come to AWS, you're really going to benefit from all our learnings, helping far more SAP customers migrate and modernize in the cloud than any other provider. We've been doing it for over 13 years, so we've got a consistent track record of industry firsts across all industries as well. So really helped everyone deeply into industries, whether you're government, whether you're manufacturing, finance as well. SAP was a customer using AWS in 2008. Some of those other vendors didn't exist or were still in preview. And even today, SAP is leveraging AWS for their RISE platforms, Concur, all of their other, many of the other platforms as well. Look, we've got 9 or so SAP business technology regions as well, more than all other cloud service providers combined. I think there's we've obviously been the leader in a number of the quadrants over the last few years. I think in the ISG one every year across every country since it's been published as well. Our partnership network is amazing. Like Lemongrass has done a huge amount of work to be certified in our SAP partner network. We stringently vet those SAP partners, and we really want the best partners to get the best outcomes for our customers together. I think Mike already mentioned the great cost savings we've had over the last number of years. We've got the broader selection of SAP certified instances. I think that's kind of most of what I wanted to say, I think. So I think they're probably the key takeaways there as well. Just the depth of experience in running it, having the most instances and platforms available for different SAP type workloads. And we've got really proven case studies that we can share with customers. I think there's one of the last ones was even just moving your ECC environment into SAP generally has a less than 3 year return on investment, positive return on investment, and obviously they're avoiding many more refreshes after that time as well. So we always invite customers to come and talk to us about their experience we've had with it and share those that great knowledge and working capability that we've got with our partners through to those customers. Do you guys have something else to add on top of all of it?
Pretty comprehensive, I think.
Yeah, no, I can waffle on and then add more points to your points, but I think you covered them all. Yeah, we also, as a partner, very happy to work on AWS platform. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's all we can squash into that time. We're just on the hour, just over, Mike. So I'll just hand back to you for a final wrap up.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that this was a very interesting session, but before we actually wrap up, perhaps I can ask Mark and Micah to give your top 3 takeaways for the audience to take home. So let's start with Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Look, certainly from my perspective, look, you know, we're talking about the perfect time here. So from my perspective, the perfect time is one that has been planned and validated very closely with your chosen partner. Do perform an assessment, and if you can, do a POC. They are very useful for you as a business to maintain momentum on your journey. And do start today. Don't be afraid to start having those conversations with us today. You know, we're more than happy to help.
It sounds great, Mark, and I think my 3 is really, you know, it's very similar to yours. Time to assess and mobilise, get your environment well understood and your target environment ready, build a model with your partner and understand what you need to do next. Build a POC to prove your business case is the second point I'd also make. So POCs are really powerful in understanding what you can do in the cloud. And also, if you still need some internal business case development, look outside your SAP environment and identify your innovation agenda within your business as well. So what services, by moving your application environment to cloud, what other services are you going to leverage? Is it data? Is it AI? Is it ML? Really focus on those. Thanks for that. And Mike, have you got a 3 as well?
Yeah, I think my 3 ones for today's session is, first one is think big, but start small, as Mark and Mike also mentioned. Do a proof of concept. Worst things can happen. You spend a couple of dollars on AWS resources, but that's about it, right? It's basically risk-free. Also engage with the right partners to unlock the value of running SAP workloads on AWS. Still, SAP it's a workload, but you need a specialist to handle that workload. And often I see customers, they overcomplicate the project. So just do a lift and shift migration, and whilst on AWS, then focus on cloud optimization. So yeah, that's from me.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much. So just to say a big thank you to everyone for joining, to the 3Ms, to Mark, Micah, and Mike. I can't say it. And just to conclude, so as I mentioned, this is being recorded. We'll share the link with you tomorrow via email. And also just to say our next Lemongrass Live is on June the 24th. Mark already talked about it. I think potentially it came up with all presenters. It's on how to get the most from a proof of concept. How long does it take? How much does it cost? What does good look like? What do you do with it afterwards? So we'll be discussing that on June the 24th. I hope you'll be able to join us then. Thanks ever so much and have a good rest of the day. Bye.
Thanks,
everyone.
See you later.
Bye.